Crystal.
Mm.
Which they could do on the basis of this game.
Yeah.
But yet they don't.
I guess people would just get fed up and bored if they had to drive continuously for so long.
So
I just think the problem that Dovetail have, and I'm pretty much with you on this, that I think a lot of the stick they get is uncalled for.
Yeah.
However, I think a lot of it stems back from the amount of DLC that has actually been released. And certainly if you go back, 2 or 3 years ago, it was 1 or 2, items a month were being released.
Yeah.
And I think at that stage, some of the stuff they were releasing was not fully finished. And it's sad that problems like that do tarnish a company's reputation. But I mean, I see that in my own business. If I don't know, one of my paper boys rides on a pavement and upsets a customer, before you know it, half the village is complaining about the shop.
Yeah.
And the paper boys. And I think that's sometimes the problem that Dovetail have, is it's just sometimes that little bit of stuff they haven't done properly just sticks in people's minds. People remember the bad stuff, not the good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's true. Right. I've got to Copenhagen. Yeah, which I think is Copenhagen in Denmark.
In Danish, yeah.
But that's not going as far north as you are, CK.
No, and I'm already kind of way on my way anyway. So, because I think Jelly Bean rushed off and I think Nelson's. I don't know where Nelson.
I'm well on my way to Sweden now.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Copenhagen's near Malmö, no?
Yeah, exactly. It's just across the bridge.
So if we try and head up towards, because I'm going to get this to Copenhagen, then if I try and get to Karlskrona, and we'll all meet back in Karlskrona.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is once I get up to where I've got to do, I can get a ferry across to Gothenburg, and then I'll have to drive down to Karlskrona as well. So.
Yeah. Right. InstaSim says, I personally find the flak DTG gets is also uncalled for. It's quite silly. I really think the DTG have improved quality over the years. Yeah, no, that's it is true.
I'd say it's a little bit half and half. Sometimes they release stuff that's okay, and then you got stuff that isn't so okay. I think it depends on who's working on the stuff.
Yeah.
As well, in the background, like for example, some of the DLC might have been made by third-party people outside of, like the Armstrong Powerhouse Thumper add-on and stuff like that, or the last add-on that came out. But then if you sort of look back at other releases they've done, like the Class 150/1, which was like last October, November, a lot of people complained about that because of the fact that there was lots of bugs with it, and then they only kind of released a patch for it literally like last month. So it took them 6 or 7 months to do a patch, and then even that patch still wasn't like perfect. So I think it sort of swings and roundabouts. But like you say, the trouble is like if they do things that are kind of like half finished or look like they've been rushed out, then obviously people then are see that and obviously just think of that as bad stuff, and then of course that's the problem.
Yazin, you said that you've only got you don't have France. Do you have the Scandinavia DLC? Because that's where we were all heading. But yeah, follow as far as you can if you don't. On that, who was I going to speak to next? Jelly Bean, yes, head for Sweden. Head for Karlskrona.
I got a feeling that.
Go on.
Yeah, I got a feeling that Jelly Bean must have obviously just finished his job then, so he's heading off again. Cause I've got to go past where he's going. So.
Yazin's only got going east. Sorry, we were going to try and use the double trailers, which is why we're heading so far north. Yazin.
Oh yeah.
But
that's what we're doing.
You can follow us as far as you can, and then see what we can do beyond that. But yeah, no, I think that DTG sometimes box them into a corner. But you know, it is still a simulator and it's still a PC game. And one of the things that I've come to realise is just the amount of work that goes into making a route. And making a route look good. And for the amount of work that would go into it, they can't get the kind of money, you know, they could spend all, you know, a year making a perfectly looking route with locos, with sound just right, and doing all that coding and all that kind of thing. But then people would moan when they sold it at £100. And so they've got to find the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult market to get into as well, because as trained fans,
yeah,
we've all got different perspectives of what we want from the game, haven't we? So some want perfection, and some would be prepared to pay a lot of money for that perfection. Some of us haven't got that money, and we're quite happy to pay for the fact that the sound might not be exactly as it would be on the real locomotive. They're stuck in the middle of a real problem with us, aren't they, most of the time?
Yeah, they are. And one of the things that I get from that is, like, for me, so long as it goes chuff chuff chuff, it sounds like a steam train.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, okay, I've listened to some of the Steam Sound Supreme stuff, and you know, yes, I can hear the differences between that and the Dovetail stuff. Which one actually sounds more like the 9F? I don't really know. I've not checked it. I've not stood on the footplate of a 9F as it's been going full pelt through the Scottish mountains, so I'm not going to know what that sounds like. So I'm more than happy with the experience that they give me. And I think
most of us are probably happy with what we get at the price we get it at.
Yeah.
But as CK says, where they let themselves down is silly things that aren't right at release date, and then the length of time it takes to put it right.
Yeah, no, that I can see as being a pain. Right, I've had 3 of these come through. Just give me a second, guys. Henrique 157666, thank you very much for your follow. Mirtha06, thank you very much for your follow. And the final one is Nats. Oh gosh, what did I hit? Nastas. Thank you very much for your follow. Jellybean is running free.
It's like the content for TS16. You get all the content for that, but how do we know what content we will get for TSW? And how much would it all cost?
I think that they're trying to do a similar kind. Oh gosh, they're trying to do a similar kind of thing. Is this you done then, Yazin? Can you not go any further, or have you just stopped and thrown me off the road for no reason?
Oh.
Oh dear.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Just about, yeah.
Right, well, I gotta go back somewhere.
Hamburg.
Probably.
Oh.
That's a pain. Yeah, back to Hamburg.
I'll wait for you.
Right. Why do I have a feeling that I've just been here?
Well, I just had a feeling that you've just been trolled.
Yeah, by somebody in stream as well. What was I gonna say?
And I bet you he was a follower.
He's somebody in chat. Yeah, and he's admitted it in chat.
Ah.
Right, let's go. So yeah, no, I think DTG. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this Western Mainlines stuff. But it is that balance between making money and giving people what they want. And then I think another thing that happens is if you sell stuff from model railway, people know what model railways are, and people who aren't interested in trains don't buy stuff from model railway.
No.
Yeah, that's true.
So therefore they can be specific, they can do the bits that they want for train fans, and we understand how the hobby works. You get the bits that you want, and you build up the stuff that you want to use. Like with me and the game, I've bought British Steam. I don't buy German routes, I don't buy American routes, I don't know the signalling, I don't like the routes. Why would I spend the money on them? And it's likewise with that kind of hobby, you know, you wouldn't, if you're doing a British Steam themed model railway, you wouldn't then go and buy an intercity loco.
No.
Because it's out of place with your theme and how you like to do things. But then they've made a computer game, and so they've opened it up to all these other people who've gone, oh look, a game about trains. And they don't get the way on how the hobby works, if that makes sense.
Oh no, that makes very sense.
How long have you had the game, Captain?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I've had it since May last year.
What? Train sim?
Yeah.
Well, you see, the problem I've got is I go back right to 2009 when it was released as Railworks.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
Now, when that came out, it came out with German routes, American routes, and British routes.
Right.
And the problem was in those days is that there was, I mean, I often say this when I stream. I mean, part of the reason I stream is I go back and show some of the really early stuff.
Yeah.
And things like Workshop didn't exist.
Right.
So when you got those routes, first of all, DTG had to issue more scenarios with it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, other third parties got involved. Armstrong Powerhouse started making scenario packs.
Right.
And the problem is, before you knew it, you were roped in to try and get some life into Train Simulator.
Yeah.
You had to buy every route that came out, because it was the only way to extend life into the game.
Right.
And it was probably only after about 2 years that you began to then get a picture of, hang on a minute, this is now getting out of control.
Yeah.
But in that start off, to get some, to continue to play the game, you had to use a German route. And if they brought a German route out 3 months later, that's what you had to play. Otherwise, you had a game that you couldn't really use.
Right.
And that was the problem in the early days. So before you knew it, you'd got into this situation where you'd got American routes, German routes, British routes, just to keep the game alive.
Right.
And then, of course, as time goes on, it isn't it isn't as important now to get everything, because Workshop continues to keep scenarios for the routes that you would want.
Yeah.
But for me, I got so deep into the situation where I was buying every route that came out just to get some life back into a game that I'd almost finished.
I think that's going to be a little bit of the problem with early TSW.
And that's why I'm not gonna. That's why I'm still stepping back and don't think I'll get it.
Yeah. But that's why I'm hoping that they've learnt a little bit from that and have been able to put in a little bit more flexibility with TSW. So like, I'm looking forward to not only doing each train as a driver, but also doing them in passenger mode. And one of my favourite things to do on TSW at the moment is just to play hobo and jump on and see where the train goes. But yeah, no, I can fully understand how that situation has come about.
Yeah, you get into that slippery slope that and as you rightly say, for people like us that have been through that, TSW is a concern.
Yeah.
When TrainSim started, it had 5 routes with it.
Yeah.
That's how it was released. 5 routes and about 20 scenarios on there. TSW has come with 1 route initially, now a 2nd route, and just that big uncertainty at the moment about what lies ahead for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that TSW was in a worse situation than TrainSim was at that point, though, because the difference was it was already with TrainSim when you bought it, even with the first TrainSim that came out, long time ago, there was tools in it for you to build things and to make scenarios, and also there was like websites like UK TrainSim were around because they were already established for Microsoft TrainSim, so obviously people could make stuff and make assets for it already, whereas at the moment there's nothing like that with TSW. You can't make anything, you can't create anything, you have to find a way until Dovetail is gonna bring out the tools for you to do that.
That is true.
Captain, where are you?
Where am I? I don't know. I'm on the A7, I think.
Because I'm heading towards Rostock.
Oh, I don't know where I am. I'm just following the line. And I can't see a sign. Give me a second. Hell Greco, thank you very much for your follow. Polecat Fanboy, thank you very much for yours. And the next one hasn't come up. Jana Dunk, hello and welcome. He says since rail works, so I think he's had it for a long time. I'm still on the Kiel road, although I'm about to go straight on towards the north. NASCAR says they do too much at the same time. And Scotsman says, but the 9F is meh, physics are bad, but it's a former Iron Horse model, but they could have at least improved it a little bit. Bought it to try it out, haven't touched it ever since. Same thing with the 6MT. I must say the 6MT I find quite difficult to drive, and there's not enough scenarios for it. But yeah, with Workshop, but I feel kind of mixed about Workshop as well. If you kind of like get my gist, because I find it very difficult to find things on Workshop. Yeah, I find it very difficult to, like you say, with a route. If I want scenarios just for the Riviera and the 50s route, there's no real way of finding them. You can type it in, but you won't get them all.
No, you don't.
You can select the route, but it doesn't recognise that, and so there's no real way of being able to find those things unless you know exactly what they are. And then going on from that, I think that kind of like, people now expect you to be able to make routes and to put up scenarios for free, which does away with all of these third parties that are trying to make a little bit of money out of the time so that they can do it more often. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Let's say that's how Armstrong Powerhouse started.
Yeah.
Was making scenario packs, and that, my first one goes back to 2011.
Yeah, that's like when the Great Western and
that's the one. Yeah, absolutely. But and that's how they started.
Would you now buy a scenario pack of 10 scenarios off Armstrong Powerhouse for £5, or would you just go and try and find 10 scenarios off Workshop?
I think I've got a trust in Armstrong Powerhouse that I would be quite happy to pay that.
Right.
Yeah. I still buy
until they let me down.
Okay.
Their early scenario packs are actually quite poor in comparison to Workshop. A lot of Workshop stuff nowadays, but their latter ones are good with good variety.
But then that was because it was different times as well, because you got to remember that PCs when they were out in 2009 weren't like they are today, so a lot of people were even struggling even on the routes that we would consider basic now. Back then people were moaning about even them, oh, it makes the very laggy and the frames are very low, and if you put too much AI in a scenario, they would have problems. Whereas now it's like, you know, modern PCs can kind of eat those scenarios up a little bit more.
But then what if somebody new thought, well, you know, I like making scenarios, let me try and sell some third party.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sort of side has gone. Whereas that did exist. I mean, you know, back in the early days, you'd frantically search the web to try and find someone that had done scenarios.
Yeah.
And possibly it is sad that side of things has been taken away.
Yeah. Let's just have a look at some more comments in chat. Flying Scotsman says he's had train sim since TS 2014. And then we've had another 2 follows, one of which is Pelicans. Thank you very much for the follow, and the other one hasn't come through on the bot yet. So, but yeah, no, because I was thinking about perhaps with the Ginty scenario that I'm making, I'm looking to do 2 or 3 of them as like a little bit of a story of a day that goes wrong and that kind of thing, and a day shunting, and then maybe a branch line working, having refueled the engine. But and then seeing if I could put it together into like a 6 scenario pack. But it's just, is there the market there to buy it? And I don't think there is.
I mean, I again on my stream I've shown a couple of times a German company called I call it 3D ZUG, whether it's 3D Zug I don't know, but they do scenarios, and they pretty much do like a day's work for a driver.
Yeah.
So where you start off, you might start off taking some empty coaches out, get it to the first station of the morning at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Take the train out, take the train back, switch over to another loco, take that out, do a variety of work, but all set to like a day.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, absolutely. I don't know. They must be quite successful now because they're on about scenario pack 39.
Right.
There was also a company from America called Foot Forward that also did some storytelling in scenarios. But it's getting your reputation, isn't it?
Yeah, and when so many people now are wanting it for free on Workshop, how are you going to set yourself up as a paid?
Yeah.
So because to be honest with you, I wouldn't necessarily buy off Armstrong Powerhouse when I can get it off Workshop.
No.
But then,
you've got to offer something different, haven't you?
Yeah.
AP have got that reputation, which for those of us that have used AP for a long time are comfortable spending that £5, for example, and getting it.
Yeah.
It's because also with AP, when they're scenario packs, they're kind of also, as long as you've got the DLC that comes along with it, like the really early packs they would do, like going back to like Great Western Mainline or East Coast Mainline, for example. With the scenario packs, you'd actually also get reskins and repaints of the DLC you're driving. So you might get liveries of things that you didn't have before. So obviously they came with the scenario as well. So you'd install those as like separate things. But obviously that's kind of like the added thing I guess you get with the scenario packs of Armstrong Powerhouse these days. Is obviously it's like you also get not just, you get a lot of bundled reskins, because obviously they've got people that they mission to do, to bundle them in with their files and things. So it's kind of like you get those of it too. So it was like for example with the recent Powerhouse Wherry Lines scenario pack they brought out recently, and the thing was that was actually a little bit different because actually had more scenarios than normal. So it's probably because obviously people getting more fussier about where to get scenarios. You might have bundled more in than normal than you used to do. But then it was also because there was a lot of like scenarios with the Class 68 in, and obviously the Class 68 that comes from Dovetail has got like an issue with the brakes, and there's like third-party fixes you can get for the brakes. So obviously when you play on it with the scenario pack, it's also got the fix included for the brakes. So obviously you don't have the brake issue, it's kind of already installed in the loco, so you don't have to go and search for it.
Yeah.
It's just little things like that really. But
But then that's the sort of thing that.
It's like today, for example. Like I had an email from Just Trains because Trains and Drivers had brought out a new scenario pack for London Brighton line. But the difference with this is because they use this German company that basically have this tool that you can install with the scenarios, where you can have like interactive things going on, so it adds more sounds into the game, so you can like have announcements going on at the railway stations and also on the train.
That's good.
But then you've got the talking announcements on the train, like when you're going through the stations that say the next station is this, and it adds them to the trains as well. But obviously there's only like 3 scenarios in the pack.
Yeah.
And it's like £5, but it's sort of like, well, it's quite hard really. Yeah, but it's because, like you said, you can go to a workshop and get plenty of London to Brighton, but it's just maybe because you get this like sound thing, so that's kind of a bit intriguing. But
Scotsman says, ever since Dovetail bought, well, hold on, I've lost it because the next. He says, ever since Dovetail bought Iron Horse's house catalogue and re-released them on Steam, most of them are bad and some of them are good, like the Class 20, 27, 52, 45. These are the only IHH models that are currently on Steam.
Yeah, some of those
which are good models though.
Yeah, some were good, some were bad.
Yeah. We've got Goke Gherkin, thank you very much for your follow. Julio Caesar 212, thank you for your follow. And I believe I'm waiting for one to come through, so that will be in the next little batch. Yeah, so I don't know. And one of the things that I've noticed with a lot of the Just Train stuff and the AP stuff is to get the scenario pack, there's a lot of other stuff that you need.
Yeah.
So
that's the only issue really. Whereas on Workshop, but then, you know, a Workshop is a little bit easier, I guess, but you still sometimes do need things in Workshop to make other things work. But yeah, there's a lot. I think it's because AP and that, they kind of want their scenarios packs to be as realistic as possible, so they obviously want you to have as much stuff as possible. And if you haven't got that stuff, then it's a bit problematic. Yeah. But obviously, if you're a maniac like me that just wants to like hoover everything, well, you know, like you, CptnJenks. I mean, I'm into certain things with British routes, and obviously I'm not so keen on steam locos in trains as much as you, but I just tend to have more of the things like the diesels and the electric units.
From what I get from you, you're a 1970s diesel electric guy.
Well, yeah, something like that, 1970s, 80s, because obviously that was kind of like my sort of childhood was 70s, 80s sort of trains, and that's kind of what I like. I love steam engines in reality, like I said, but obviously I just find them quite hard to drive in train sims, so I do try and do them, but obviously I just struggle with it. I'm like Nelson.
Whereas then, because I grew up on the heritage scene, it's almost like steam came back. NASCAR, I've got no problem with that. Just try and break it up a little bit so that you don't take up the whole box. And we've got Texaurus, thank you very much for your follow. Mustard Do, Sinar06, NBG03, thank you very much for your follows. And I've had another one come through, which I should do in a minute. They're coming in thick and fast at the moment, these follows, guys.
Where are we meant to be? Where are we meant to be meeting?
Where Gavd is going.
Carl's Corner. Yeah.
Where?
Carl's Corner.
Carl's Corner, yeah.
Sprinter says, I was told that the JT Class 130, and was that somebody that's... No, it's just a car. I was told that JT Class 153 can't be used to make scenarios on Workshop. Is this true? That is true. You can only use stuff on Steam that you've bought on Steam to make Workshop scenarios. Which is what I was thinking. Perhaps if I was to do a scenario pack, of that could be one of the ways in. Is like with AP, they do scenario packs using the third-party content. So do like a Mana class scenario pack, or anything else, or do a scenario pack for the Mardenshire route or something like that.
Yeah, that's another thing that upsets me a little bit. Is if you get some routes, obviously not a lot of workshop like Mardenshire, but it's really hard to find decent scenarios for that route, apart from the ones that obviously are out ready for it, just trained. It's a shame really, because it's such a nice route and there's a lot of things you can do on it, but obviously there's hardly any scenarios for it.
So sharing for that route then becomes difficult.
It's been on Steam, and obviously a lot more people might have done the stuff.
I'll be in Cal's Corner in about 5 minutes.
Right, well I'm coming into Copenhagen. I'm just crossing a big bridge.
Okay, I'm just doing a job at the moment to Carl's Corner.
Right, NASCAR says you need an accurate physics model for any loco, because if you don't, things that aren't supposed to happen end up happening anyway. And that's, hold on, let's not crash. And that's where other companies such as AP and Steam Sound Supreme know that there are others, but he doesn't know them all. Sankarak, thank you very much for your follow. Let me stop here and then I can read all these properly. Flying Scotsman Sprinter says I do have a few reskins. Reskins are allowed, okay. Chris has to go now. Thank you everyone for an excellent stream. Enjoyed your conversations, very interesting. Thank you very much, Chris.
See you, Chris.
You take care.
See you, Chris.
Hi, Chris. It's like everybody's looking forward to see this new route editor for Trent and Wells, so you can add like extra routes added on to other routes. So you make one long route, so you make a route from London, King's Cross to Edinburgh.
I don't know how well the game will play that though, because it's already big and causing issues. So I've just got back up with Jelly Bean.
Yeah. Obviously some of the routes will take up huge amounts.
I think the trouble is the expectation for TSW is such that you know what Gav's just said is what so many people actually are expecting from it.
Yeah.
And that might well be a challenge for Dovetail, is to actually manage those expectations in a positive way.
And don't get me wrong, I would love a King's Cross to Edinburgh run. It would be absolutely, that in a HST for a couple of hours would be brilliant, and not needing to break it up. You know, you could do one of the double-tendered Scotsman's inaugural runs, stopping only at Darlington for water.
Yeah.
But
for
the processing capacity that would need to go into that, it would be phenomenal. And I think because trains, which is more of a game than a simulator, they did something very similar, and their latest one advertised as having London to Edinburgh. And so I think that people expect Dovetail to keep up, and yet they don't realise that it's a completely different type of experience with Dovetail.
It's like this new Great Western route for TS12, where you can get a train from London Paddington all the way to Penzance.
Yeah, but do you know the data that really chews through the data? It's not an easy thing for you to do.
No.
NASCAR says companies like those, when they make the loco, need to provide an accurate physics model and accurate 3D model design, so the customer gets a really nice product. How on earth did I do that? So the customer gets a really nice product for their money.
At the price they're going to pay it. It's like if you're going to get TS World and add routes to it, then you want to make sure you get a good product from it. So like if you're going to do a route from London to Edinburgh, the add-ons for it must be cheaper than what the game would be.
I have no idea how on earth I managed to get here. However, I am going to try and continue on. This is going to be fun.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm not on the road.
Huh? Oh, I better pull over. I want to see
at the end of the day, companies like Just Trains or Armstrong Powerhouse wouldn't have existed if Train Simulator wasn't about anyway, in a way, because obviously it needs Train Sim to make the scenario packs and to make the locos for, so obviously...
Yeah. CptnJenks, how did you end up there?
I have no idea. I can't...
like Flight Sim, really, same thing, really.
Yeah.
You know, you had Microsoft making Flight Sim, and then you had all these third-party companies that obviously made stuff for the platform in the first place, and at the moment, like I was saying, Dovetail have made a platform where only at the moment they can only get access to it and nobody else can. So until it sort of opens up and other people can start doing stuff, then obviously, who knows how long it's going to obviously take, because I mean, once this new route comes out, then how long is it going to be before another
Come on,
route
Jellybean,
comes
you
out?
can pass me.
The scenery would need to be turned down in order to get from under.
It's not Gav, it's me.
the good FPS
Is it you?
Yeah.
Such as TSW.
Indeed,
it would, NASCAR. Because TS17 is 32-bit and you're bound to run out of memory. Edge, I can't even pronounce that. But anyway, welcome to the channel. If you are in chat, please say hello. Right, I've got to go past this turning, guys, because for those of you that aren't actually watching, because you're busy driving, I'm on the grass verge, the other side of the barrier, and I can't get back on the road.
You are in a pickle.
Right, I gotta carry on.
I mean, in about 5 or 10 years, obviously there'll be a Train Sim world that'll be out, and it'll just be like how Train Sim is today. It'll probably like have a bundle of the best routes that come out during that year, and then it'll be like it's sold at a cheap price. I mean, it's like TS18. If there's a TS 2018 coming out, if it does or whatever, it will just basically be the best routes from this year that have been sold bundled into a pack.
Yeah.
So
with Dovetail, I don't think they should bring out TS18. I don't think they should bring it out.
Well, they probably haven't, because normally they announce something by now, and normally they say it's going to be out in September, October, and they haven't really done anything. So
no, I think they're concentrating more on TS12 and get that out properly. What happens.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is that they won't. It'll just be like the last Train Sims for the last couple of years anyway. If they had pulled it out, it just would have been whatever routes have been popular in the last year, and then like a German route or the maybe Chatham Main Line, and then it'll be like a bundle of like 4 routes, and then you can get a chance to upgrade to it. That's kind of like it would have been like anyway. I don't think you're gonna expect to see anything.
It's like for me, I'm just gonna stick with 2016 because I don't really want to upgrade the game. I don't want to pay more money out for a game that I've got with all the routes that I've just bought for it to upgrade it again to buy more routes. Why should you have to pay more money out to get a better game?
Yeah, but the thing is, the code really doesn't change anymore, though. It's just basically a bundle of routes in a pack, and then you're basically getting a different menu system or different looking. But the actual game hasn't really changed, the code or anything really.
No.
Not anymore. I mean, years gone by, obviously you used to get loads of changes to things, but like you said, they're focusing on a different platform now. But obviously third parties are still doing stuff for Train Sim, and obviously there are quite a few routes and that I've seen that obviously they're going to be bringing out in the future again. Obviously there's a guy that's working on a Liverpool Merseyside area route that's going to be published by Dovetail, and obviously there's other DLC that's still coming out, locos and routes and stuff. So
I mean, third parties are going to keep train sims are going for quite a while. This
Yeah.
year.
Well, yeah, they have
Dovetail
to.
announced tomorrow it was going to bring nothing out.
Yeah, no,
So much more. You know, so many of us that have got it.
and I think
The
Workshop
third
will
parties
keep it
keep
going as well.
for a long time.
Scotsman says TSW is limited to 4 gigabytes, otherwise temp dump. We've got Proxy123, thank you very much for your follow. NASCAR says it's like flight sim. When you start adding scenery and aircraft and weather programs such as Active Sky 16, it eats away the memory and eventually you'll get out of memory error, generally known as an Scotsman, I'm not expecting no TS18 this year. And then we've got Tala AK and Mustafa 070707070707. Thank you very much for all of your follows. I've just had to drive down the road and turn around to try and get back on the road to get into Copenhagen, which we're back on the route to now. And this isn't saying that Dovetail are bad for what they do. This is more, even though it's a funny way of doing it, the conversation is kind of like defending Dovetail for the difficulties that they've faced, because I still think that the game is absolutely brilliant for what it does.
It is. The game is. It looks amazing. But the power from it for everybody's PC, none of us can really handle it.
What, are you on about TSW?
Yeah.
Oh, I was on about TS1.
Yeah. Oh no, TS1's alright.
But that's what I mean, you know, we can all sit and say, oh, you know, this could be better, that could be better, but actually, it's still an absolutely fantastic game. And I think that is worth mentioning, that even though, you know, we are saying that things could be improved, it is still an absolutely brilliant game.
Oh yeah, it is.
Well, I always think at the end of the day, if I'm in one of those moods when I want to have a rant about it, I've only got to look at the money I've spent on it, and actually one's the foolish one, and it's me. You know, if I really think it's that bad, why have I spent all that money on it over all these years? And the fact is, it's because it's really what it is. It's not a bad game.
Yeah. And it's keeping something that we all love but can't do very often alive, and we have to recognise that. You know, it's why people build model railways. It's why people go out of their way to do that kind of thing. Is it keeps that alive? And you know, if it wasn't for that game, a lot of us probably wouldn't see or do trains as much as we do.
No.
What have we got going on here? TS is good, but I'm fed up with the bugs, says Scotsman. 06 Can just followed. Thank you very much for the follow. It occurs mostly when entering an area of high scenery detail. So if you're to make a route from London to Penzance, at some point, probably in London, you would run out of game memory, and the distant scenery when that loads, it's possible for it to it as well.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, we're supposed to be driving trucks. Have I had a few tonight? No, I haven't, Sprinter. I'm stone dry sober. But you try driving a car with a keyboard and mouse.
Oh yeah, it's a bit hard.
That's all that I'll say. And it's not as though I'm sat at a desk. I've got the mouse on the settee.
Yeah, it's not easy. Not easy at all.
That's why Dovetail only makes a small selection of a route. Indeed it is. And it's why TSW is even smaller, because they want to make sure that it can run. Now if I would make locals train sim, you try and make a great physics model and 3D model so the customer gets the great... yeah, but the problem with that NASCAR is that you'd spend so much time on it that to sell that and make money, you'd have to sell it at a phenomenal price.
Yeah.
Ryman717, thank you very much for your follow. And I don't know what the next one's going to be.
Guess what I've just seen?
What?
Double trail, yeah.
Yeah, I just had one of those myself. Because when I was in Denmark, some guy in front of me was driving one of those. So.
Well, I've managed to take out a couple of road signs.
Oh, that's good. Well done.
I'm in a hurry. I'm gonna skip this.
That means you're one road sign in front of me already. That's not.
I've
only done one tonight.
Sprinter's been counting them. I think I'm a lot more than one in front of you.
Oh dear.
I think you're quite a lot.
Right, moving on. Let's see if we can get somewhere from here.